everybody out there. Hope you're doing good. Glad to be here with you. And hope this thing's working right yet. It always is a little slow. I never know when I'm on, but let it finish buffering. I guess that's probably on my end. But anyway, we want this thing. Here we go. Now I know we're on. Glad to have you on my show tonight, tuning in. We've got one of the greatest of all times in bluegrass, whatever kind of music, going to be here tonight. Mr. John Cowan, and tell you a little about John. I mean, John, if you don't know John, you should. He's was a longtime member of the Newgrass Revival, and recently went into the Hall of Fame with those guys and the IBMA this past fall. And now he's working he had to step way down for this job, so he's playing with the Doobie Brothers, and it's definitely not a step down. I mean, that's a big deal, getting to hear all those old Doobie Brothers tunes and see John Cowan over there. Got a lot of people tuning in. Glad to see you guys. It's going to be a great night here for everybody. Got my Pioneer, everything's backwards here, Pioneer Heating and Air shirt on. That's who my son works for. He's learned to be a heating and air guy when he's not playing dobro, and my good buddy Gordy Noe owns that company, and he's a big bluegrass guy. So had to put on the Pioneer shirt tonight, and I know a lot of you folks will say, mention something about my Atlanta Braves hat here. Now, I mean, I've always been a fan of the Braves. Everybody knows me, knows I kind of lean toward Boston quite a bit, but the story on this hat is I had a friend named Rick Romans, and he was a pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. And he came to one of our shows. He pitched in the 70s for the Royals. But anyway, he came to our show that we played West Virginia, and he brought me this hat. And he had just been transferred over, and he was a pitching coach for Atlanta, and wanted me to come down and see the game. And it was about 2 months afterwards that he passed away. So Rick Romans, a dang good guy, very, very godly man, loved music, loved baseball, and he loved coming out when we were playing places. And anyway, I always have to throw that hat on every now and then for Rick. A good friend. And I guess, Amy, that will explain to you why I've got on a Braves hat, but I do have a Cincinnati Reds old school hat that I wear from time to time. As a matter of fact, I just got it back from the cleaners. So anyway, I'll be wearing that thing a little bit more. But anyway, I explained what I've got on, and sorry about the noise on the microphone. I think I got too close. But anyway, I'm really thankful for everyone who tunes in every week. We've got Randy Jones and Debbie Cantwell and Amy Salt. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Amy Saltzgaver. I believe that's right. And my buddy Rodney Pearson that used to play in a band with me. Rodney's a bass player, and we played in our first band. I don't mean a band with me, but a band with us. And Rodney, Jerry Butler, and Bill Lynch, we were called the Knoxville Newgrass Boys. And it was kind of funny, the things we used to get away with, but our parents had nerves of steel to let us start out so early. We were playing a lot of places back then. I remember me and Rodney, I'll tell you real quick, that we used to play a lot of these campaigns for people running for mayor or running for Congress or whatever. And I mean, we didn't have a lot of stuff in our house growing up. We were, if we ate stuff, it was pot pies or stuff like that. I don't remember ever going out to eat. We just didn't have a ton of money coming up. And anyway, we played a big get together, I think, for someone running for Congress, and they had this big, massive bowl full of shrimp. And I'd seen shrimp before, people popping it in their mouth and just eating it and stuff. And that's the way I'd saw on TV. People grab it by the tail and eat the shrimp. Well, all these shrimp were there, and I picked these up and they had legs and stuff and a hard shell. I didn't realize that that the shrimp had shells on them when they were cooked. So I was around all these high class people. I wasn't going to make an idiot out of myself. So I ate about 2 dozen shrimp in the shell with legs, and they was crunchy. It's terrible, but I had them on my plate, and I was hoping to blend in because I thought I would look stupid peeling them. And after I eat like 2 dozen, I get up and I see all these people's plates where they peeled their shrimp. And, I was trying not to be an idiot, look stupid that night, but I wound up doing that because I ate 2 dozen shrimp in the shell. Don't ever do that. It's not good for you. But some of the stupid things you do when you're growing up and you're a kid, and me and Rodney were in the band when all that stuff went down, but Rodney was smart enough not to eat the shrimp in the shell. But glad to have everybody in tonight. Josh Schuler, Joseph Hensley, always good to see you, and Gary Key, my buddy from high school, Greg Pruitt, always like him in, and I'm sure Betty Edmondson will probably pop in here in a little bit. She's another high school friend, and she always catches the back end of us. But anyway, let's talk about John Cowan a little bit more. John was a lead singer, bass player with Newgrass Revival. Guy was incredible, is incredible, still incredible. And I mentioned he's playing with the Doobie Brothers now, and I tell you what, I mean that's a big gig right there. And the thing about John is one of the most down to earth guys you'll ever meet. He's a really good guy, and you guys will enjoy hearing him on tonight. And everyone that tuned in last week for Tim Stafford, we appreciate that. Tim's a great friend and a great musician, and he did a great job last week. My guest for next week, I won't let you know for people that don't stay the whole show or has to get in bed. I'm going to have a real legend on. For those who were fans of the Seldom Scene, when they were first starting, I mean, the original band, they did albums like Live at the Cellar Door, things like that. There's one player that remains, and it's Tom Gray. He played bass. Mike Aldridge is gone. Ben Eldridge is gone. John Starlin is gone. John Duffy's gone. So Tom Gray is the last remaining member of that original band. And the Seldom Scene still plays, has a great band right now. But Tom was in the original band, and they did quite a few records for Rebel. They did, I think it was Rebel. They did Seldom Scene Act 1, then Seldom Scene Act 2, then Act 3. They did an album called Old Train that's really, really a great album. And then they did some other stuff. I think they did, can't remember where 4 come in, but they had one called, I'm stumped. I've got all these albums, but they did an album, I think it was just called The Seldom Scene. Then they had one called Live at the Scene, and they just had a lot of stuff. Did some stuff with Jonathan Edwards, the guy that had the big song out called Sunshine. It was Sunshine Go Away Today, that tune. They did an album with him, Jonathan Edwards. And Seldom Scene did a lot of albums with Tom Gray, so it's going to be good to have him on next week. And we'll learn a lot about the Seldom Scene, kind of how they got together and stuff. But anyway, I hope everybody's had a good week this week. We've had good weather here, and supposed to come a big storm tonight, so I hope it don't knock us off the air. If it does, we'll figure something out. Won't be the first time, but just telling you, there is a storm supposed to come through, and we should be okay. So anyway, back to music, and back to things going on. A lot of festivals. I say this every week. A lot of festivals are getting ready to fire up, and And, I think you're safe outside. Keep your distance. Don't get up in people's faces. But, I think you're going to be okay outside. Get up there and enjoy. I'm trying to stay away from indoor festivals, but it is getting better now. So we're getting out of the woods a little bit, I hope. So if there's festivals near you, especially this year if you can, so try to support them because we've had a lot of festivals that have really lost out the last 2 years, and we don't want to lose them permanently. So be sure and support your festivals. That's whatever's within your comfort zone on that. But like I said, I think outside you're good. Inside may be a little different, but anyway, just do what you feel and try to support some of these festivals if you can. And when you go, these artists, I've been being and am one of those. That we have a lot of expenses out there, gas and a lot of other stuff along with things. So be sure and buy some CDs, product, what we call it, from the artist. They can use it, and that'll help out a lot, definitely. And I want to mention, I've told everybody I've been working on this big Dobro record. I got a lot of players on it. We've put it in the can this week. I've got, just to name a few, Andy Hall, Josh Swift, let's see, Jimmy Heffernan, Gary Holtman with Blue Highway. I have a total of 24 players. It's just hard to remember all of them because I talked to all of them quite a bit, and it's hard to remember who all's on. But we got a lot of people on there. Justin Moses is on there. Justin was the IBMA Dobro Player of the Year this year. Great player. So that will be out. I'll be announcing the label probably next week. We did all the paperwork and anyway, it'll come out, and we're also going to be starting on a new All Stars record. So anyway, be looking for that. I'll keep you posted when that comes out, and I'm looking forward to getting that old guitar, wrong hand, there, that old guitar off the wall and take it out of the house a little bit. It's ready to get out and play, and I think this is John Cowan. No. Somebody send a text message. John should be calling in any time. But anyway, glad to have everyone in tonight. And I'm going to see who else is on because John will be calling real soon. Greg Colb's, glad to have you on, Greg. Mark Eaton, longtime John Cowan fan, and was stoked when he joined the Doobies a bunch of years ago. I grew up in San Jose, the original home base of the Doobie Brothers. One of my older brothers lived a couple of blocks from there band house when he was a student at San Jose State. Was a little young, but he used to see them at local clubs back then for $1 or $2 cover charge when they were still starving. I remember those days, having to play like that. We never were the Doobie Brothers, but I remember playing these places where they would feed you all the fried chicken you could eat or whatever. Say we want you to drive, we want you to drive 200 or 300 miles and we'll feed you barbecue. And now we laugh about things like that, but we used to do that. You have to do things getting going. Donna Joe Hobbs Golden, hey brother Phil, fellow Knoxville Bluegrass Mafia brother. Yeah, good to have you on tonight, Donna. Randy Jones, Blazing Bluegrass in June and September in Whitley City, Kentucky. That's a great festival. You need to go there. The Blazing Bluegrass, it's Whitley City, Kentucky, and they always have a great lineup. Randy, I'm sure they can go online and search Blazing Bluegrass, Blazin, no G, and you can find it and read a little bit more about them. So check them out and go to that festival. It's always good. Zeke Button, he's another radio guy up in Kentucky. And he says, hey, Phil, good shows. Keep it up. Buddy, we're going to keep it up. And we're always glad to have people tune in. That that gives me incentive to do this every week. My buddy Trippy Tino has a family band called the Tinos, and those kids do everything. They're great musicians, and then some of the things they do on the side is just crazy because they're just really smart kids. And Trippy used to play. Uh, he was a trombone player and played different things, but he played out in Hollywood. He was out in that big circle playing the trombone and the saxophone. And he wrote to me, "Feed you those unpeeled shrimp. Feed you those unpeeled shrimp." And here's John Cowan. Let's get John on. Hey, John.
Philip, what are you doing?
Hey, bragging you up, buddy. Talking about you. How you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Good. Can you hear okay?
I can hear great.
Oh, good.
How about you?
Oh, man, good. John, it's great to have you on the show tonight.
Well, I'm proud to be on it, by golly.
Oh, by golly. Well, me and you, I've been talking a little about you, and, I want to, get a little history real quick and then tell some stories and stuff. But, you were born in Ohio, is that correct?
Yes, a little town outside of Canton called Minerva.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that till today. I for some reason, I thought you were born somewhere else. I was thinking Florida or somewhere. I didn't know you were born in Ohio. So
I'm a Buckeye and a Hoosier and a Cardinal, you name it.
there you go, buddy. There you go. You ready for the basketball runs?
Yeah.
Always. Oh, I used to not really know anything about basketball until I played with J.D. Crowe, and during March Madness,
Oh, God.
oh, they talked about it all the time, and it was like they were talking to me in a different language. I didn't understand it. And
Yeah.
wait a minute, I need to cough a second. All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
It was like a different language, and I used to laugh at them all the time because they watch basketball, and now I find myself watching it and tuning in on all this stuff. So it's the way it works.
That actually reminds me of a good story.
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
Well, we being Newgrass Revival, we're in North Carolina. Now, I don't remember where, but we were opening for Ricky Skaggs. And it was basketball season. I think it doesn't matter if it was or not, but it must have been because Ricky was up there going on about the Wildcats.
Oh yeah.
And people in the crowd were like, "Wildcats ain't, you know what?
Oh yeah, sure.
Tar Heels, man, Tar Heels," or they were Duke fans or whatever. But it's like I couldn't believe he was up there talking about the Wildcats in the heart of North Carolina.
North Carolina. I did something really stupid like that one time. We were playing in Alabama, and Alabama and Auburn were playing each other, and we had a pretty big crowd out for this festival. And I wasn't thinking, and I just looked at the crowd, saw a few people with Alabama hats on, and I had heard the score, and I said, I bet you all are all happy tonight. Wanted to announce that Alabama is drilling Auburn pretty hard, and buddy, they were throwing stuff at me. The Auburn people were, and our guitar player looked over and said, "Phil, Auburn's in Alabama." I said, "Yeah, I know that now. Once you say it, too late, But Skaggs, he's always proud of his hometown, and especially those Kentucky basketballers, man, they're different.
Yeah,
they're different about the ball games. But speaking of Newgrass Revival, John, what year did you join up with them?
October of 1974.
Wow. And you stayed, did you guys disband in 1990, something around there?
Yeah, our last gig was on New Year's of 1990.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, I've heard a couple of funny stories. I heard about, I guess when you first met Newgrass Revival guys, Courtney and all, that you met them at a gas station. Is that right? That y'all Am I telling it
Well,
right? Or
sort of. Yeah. I mean, I was living in Louisville,
mm-hmm.
and Sam and Curtis and Courtney all lived down around the Cave Cities down in that'd be middle western Kentucky, around Glasgow, Kentucky, and so I mean, it was, back then we obviously didn't have cell phones, so and I think maybe they thought it was too difficult for me to try to find the place, so they said, now look, when you get down here to this exit off Interstate 65 at Cave City, you just get off and call us, and we'll come meet you. Or I know, that's what it was. We just arranged it to meet there at a certain time of day, like noon or whatever. And so I pulled up in my little Chevrolet Vega, and Courtney was driving it was it wasn't a Chevelle. It wasn't he was driving a Malibu, Chevy Malibu Super Sport. It had a black vinyl roof on the top. It was cranberry colored, and it was like, it was completely tricked out.
Yeah.
Had big exhaust pipes, and Sam was sitting in the passenger seat, and I just thought, oh my God, here we go.
Did you follow those guys to where you rehearsed, or did you jump in the Chevelle?
No. Well, I followed them over to Courtney's house.
That's cool,
which is
man.
just about 5 or 6 miles from the interstate, and we sat down and rehearsed, and they hired me on the spot.
That's what I was going to ask you, if they hired you that day. And I heard another funny thing. I'm sure it's cool with you, but somebody had said that Sam had said that he was the he was the singer in the band, or the lead singer, or something like that when you came in. I mean, I know that totally changed when you came in, because you brought a whole new concept and sound to that band with your voice, because you were, I don't know, it seemed like you pushed you pushed them in a direction they needed to be. And
yeah, perhaps. I mean, the truth is I didn't even sing in rehearsal for a long time.
Wow. Because
when I joined the band, I'd never played any acoustic music. I'd grown up in Louisville, Kentucky, playing in little garage bands, and then in high school we had a band and we played all around, and my dad used to drive us around in a station wagon, but it was rock and roll, like what was popular at the time. We just played what was on the radio. But anyway, but when I auditioned, because I didn't know strangely enough, I grew up in Kentucky, I just didn't. The only thing I knew about bluegrass is that around that time I had bought Will the Circle Be Unbroken.
Oh yeah.
And I love that. But I didn't know anything, like I didn't know who Jimmy Martin was, or Roy Acuff, or Doc Watson, or any of those people that were on that record. I knew who the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band was. That's why I bought the record.
Sure.
But I keep digressing. Sorry. So
no, you're good.
So I had never played without a drummer to begin with, and I certainly had never played with a banjo and a fiddle and a mandolin and an acoustic guitar.
Right.
So I'd say that maybe the first 3 or 4, 5, 6 months, I just learned how to play Newgrass Revival music. We didn't start learning new music till later in the year, so I was learning their repertoire, so I don't think I even mentioned that I could sing for a while. And Sam tells that story. He always tells that story about, I'm the lead singer, and when he heard me sing, it was like, oh, I guess you're the lead singer. But that's not what happened, because we all both sang lead.
Right, sure.
And back in those days, Curtis sang lead. And then when Pat came in the band, he sang lead. So we all took turns.
Oh, yeah. I still remember, the first time I saw you guys with the new band, with Bela and Pat. And it was just, man, you guys just, you guys were like a bomb exploding. I mean, it was just such good music. It was in your face.
Do you remember where it was?
Yes, I do. It was at the Down Home Saloon in Maryville, Tennessee. Do you remember that?
I do. That's where I met my friend Pat McLaughlin.
Oh, is that right?
He opened for us. Yeah.
Okay, so wow, so that's where you guys met and became friends.
Yep.
Well, I was over
I
there.
remember that. There was a really great record store just up the block from that place.
Yeah, it was called Roy's Records.
That's it.
And matter of fact, Roy's son usually listens in. Roy's still living. His wife passed away, and he sold that record store. It was so full. I mean, full of records, but downstairs it was packed with. Roy bought everything that he could get his hands on, and he had bought, like when they would have a parade, he had bought parts of floats, and he had Victrolas, and he had old Zenith radios. And when he sold that, it was a huge.
Yeah, he was a really sweet guy too.
Roy's the best. He was good to me because I would go over and he would give me a kids discount.
Are you from Maryville then?
No, I'm from Knoxville, but Maryville's not that far away. As a matter of fact, I drive about half that distance every other day when I go do dialysis. So, it's not far. But I remember seeing you guys, man. You guys were blowing the house down.
Did you used to go play, what was it called, Buddy's Barbecue in Knoxville?
Yeah. Did you ever play Buddy's?
I never played it. I think I went in there.
Did you really?
But that was a big, because I still remember to this day that like Buddy's was the cool place to play for bluegrass guys.
Yeah, they had the old building. It's gone now. You can't play in it now because they're so small. But I mean, J.D. Crowe played there all the time, and so many big bands, Country Gentlemen, and it was a big deal. I mean, that's where I got to know Skaggs with Boone Creek. They played there all the time. And but another place I saw you, I'm pretty sure that we may have played with you guys. There was a big festival. I know we played with you guys. I just got to see which one this was, but Tank that used to run the Down Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had that big outdoor festival.
Yeah, it was on his property.
Yep.
And that's where I met Claire Lynch and Alan Bryant. That's where I first met them, and I met so many people there. It's crazy anyway.
Sure. Oh, everybody that was anything in bluegrass came up there for that. But they had two.
Mike Cross.
Mike Cross.
Mm-hmm. Mike Cross.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah.
I remember him.
You know who else I met there? That's where I met the Red Clay Ramblers.
Oh, is that right? I remember those guys.
Really, they were amazing.
Oh yeah, they were. It's funny because they're doing a lot of the music that the people are really jamming with these days.
Oh yeah.
And they were early. And do you remember? Let's see, the Red Clay Ramblers, and there's also a band called the Hot Mud Family. Do you remember them? Years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, they were kind of a hippie band back then too. But
I'm still friends with a lot of those guys.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
it's funny. You mentioned Claire Lynch. Now Claire, when I first saw her, I worked at Buddy's Barbecue. I was actually a cook, and I hated every minute of it. And
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, man, it was true. I would have to break those shoulders down, and they'd be like 200 degrees. It's terrible. But anyway, I also helped them bring the talent into the Merchants Road store, and I had a note that the owner had left that said the hot Front Porch String Band wanted to play, which that was Claire's band,
Of course.
And I told the owner, this isn't going to work because we're using bluegrass bands. We're not using string bands. And anyway, I took their album home and listened to it. And it blew me away. And I called immediately and said, hey, we want you guys this week. And they got where they were kind of in rotation there. They'd play maybe, once every couple of months down there, and
Oh yeah.
but those were the good days. But the reason I mentioned Tanks Festival, I was trying to remember between two, and you guys may have played both of them that we were on, but there was one festival that was kind of a country music festival that had Lee Greenwood and George Jones, and I was wanting to think you guys were on that too.
That was in Bristol at the Raceway.
That's right, in Bristol. Yeah. Oh man, that's a long time back.
I'll tell you why I remember that is that was the most inebriated I'd ever seen a performer on stage.
Yeah.
I'm talking about old Possum now.
Oh yeah. I remember he kept trying to leave the stage and go home. Remember?
Yeah, he did a bunch of crazy stuff that night. He came out at one point and he had like a woman's negligee on over his shirt.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then he couldn't remember the words to anything, so he kept looking over at the bass player, and the bass player would give him the next lines he had to sing.
Yeah.
It was actually very sad because the audience was like egging him on, and I thought, man, don't
I know.
Anyways, but he turned out. He got good. He
sure did.
His life turned around, and
sure did.
I think he passed away a happy man, and he left us so much music to listen to.
Oh, yeah. George was, the thing about it, so many people are very similar, just in the bluegrass end, over the years, people I've run into, and we've probably all been guilty, but we've been George Jones at times, and, you grow out of a lot of stuff, I guess, that you do when you're young, and
if you can,
but now when you're 50 years old like George Jones, it's kind of a little too, you're a little too old to be doing that. But I thought we played those shows together, and I remember
we did.
I remember him with the negligee or whatever it was when you mentioned that.
And he kept wanting to sing Blue Bayou.
Yeah, right. Now, I forgot about that.
He'd be in the middle of one of his songs, and he'd stop the band.
Cut into it.
He'd say, "Let's do Blue Bayou." Anyways.
Oh, it was funny. The last thing I'll say that I remember, he went up and did like 2 songs, and he says, "Well, we've had a good time here tonight. We're going to do one more and get on out of here." And then that was 3 songs, and he went to leave the stage, and they said, "Man, you still got another hour." And he looks at his watch, and he goes back and attempts to do 2 more, and he tells everybody goodbye, and he starts to leave again. And this time, I guess he was trying to avoid the people that told him to go back, so he thought there were steps on the side of the stage, which was hay bales. And he stepped onto that first one, and it just started going down, and some guys caught him. I mean, he didn't fall, but he was just like leading him down the steps, and they brought him right back around the front of the stage and sent him back up and said, "George, you still got 55 minutes." So it was, but yeah, man, you guys, I just, I loved hearing you guys. I saw you guys with Tony Rice at the Tennessee Theater here in town.
My goodness.
One night it rained really bad, and you guys come on, and Tony was late, and you guys came on after, and you guys just killed it like you always did. But
I remember that show really well.
Well, you played Knoxville quite a bit. You have a lot of friends down here. And
yeah, what was that place that we used to play down in Old Town?
Oh,
it had a funny name. Ella
Garou.
Yeah, that's it.
I never went there because at that time I had just got married, and I was working as a nurse, and I had sold my dobro, and I was going to be totally done with music, and it didn't turn out that way. But I never got a chance to go to Ella Garou's, but I know that was the happening place there for a while here in town.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we played a million places in Knoxville over the years.
Yeah.
I can't remember them all.
Well, a lot of people love you guys down here, and anytime they talk about the Newgrass Revival, people around here always talk about you. I mean, you always took time to talk to people, which everybody in the band was good folks, but you would always, spend a little extra time, and you made a lot of friends here. So we got a lot of friends watching tonight on
That's
this show.
awesome.
So it's good. But I want to talk to you a little more about Newgrass Revival, a few
Well,
things.
come on.
Yeah,
Here we go.
I'm going to. I'm coming at you right now with it.
All right, brother.
All right then. Tell me real quick. I'm going to try to work a little chronological here, but I want to know just a few things. I want to know the tune "Calling Baton Rouge."
Yes, sir.
And how, I knew Garth Brooks really loved you guys, and tell me how that all came about after you guys did it, and how Garth decided to do it and use you all and stuff.
I'm trying to remember what year he put that out. It's sometime in the early to mid '90s. We were already, well. The story is this, and this is a funny story too. Sort of, I'll try to condense it as much as possible.
You're good. It's your night, man.
But we were on the same label out of Nashville, which was Capitol EMI, Capitol Records.
Mm-hmm.
Now we had met Garth long before he got his record deal, when he was still, I think he was still going to school in Stillwater at OSU, but he was definitely playing there because he played regularly in this bar in Stillwater, and we came and we met him there, and then we played this crazy gig out in a place really close to Stillwater called Horse Beach Canyon. And he got a bunch of friends of his together and put a band together so he could open for us. So we saw him there too. And then cut to a few years later, and we're both on Capitol Records, and we're just getting ready to put out Friday Night in America, which is our last record, which had Calling Baton Rouge on it. Anyways, he just loved our band, and he was, he was very kind to us, and we were kind to him. Nobody knew who he was at that time.
Right, sure.
So anyways, when he got his career up and running after No Fences and all that stuff, and he was a huge, gigantic star, he decided, he called us all up separately because we weren't a band anymore. So he called Pat and Bela and myself and Sam Bush and said, I'm going to cut Calling Baton Rouge. He said, and the reason I'm going to cut it is because A, I love you guys, and B, it really pissed me off that you didn't get a number one record out of it, because I think it's a number one song.
Oh yeah.
So he said, so I know you guys aren't playing together anymore, but would you come and sing and play on my version of it? And everybody said, sure, yeah. So that's what happened, and of course it went to number one because he put it out.
So you guys were disbanded at that time? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, we'd already been broke up a couple of years anyways.
Wow. Oh man, I mean, just here saying, man, I love you, the version that you guys put out the best. I mean, it was smoking. In which Garth, I mean, you can listen to the harmonies and tell, how it was all put together, because I could hear Newgrass Revival all over his cut.
Yeah, he turned me up really loud.
Yeah, he did, and he should have. It sounded great, but did that? I try to keep up with a lot of stuff, but I can't remember everything. But didn't that one win some awards that year?
For him, you mean?
Yeah, for him.
Probably. Gosh, I don't know. He's,
Yeah. I didn't know if it did or not. Or
I know that it was a hit record, and that's what he intended it to be, and it worked out in that regard.
Oh, that's great. That's a killer song, and for people out there listening tonight, if you've just heard Garth's version, go to YouTube and call him Baton Rouge by Newgrass Revival. Check that out. That's pretty smoking stuff right there.
Yeah.
What was your favorite album that you did that you liked the most, John?
With Newgrass Revival?
Mm-hmm.
Probably On the Boulevard, and then
Oh yeah.
My other favorite. Well, I got three actually. I have three favorites: On the Boulevard, and then Live in Toulouse, France. And the reason I love those two records so much is that's what we sounded like live.
Oh yeah.
It's just the four of us singing and playing. Like even on the early Newgrass records with Curtis and Courtney, we used electric piano and stuff and drums on stuff. And but my favorite record from the first version, which is Curtis Birch, Courtney Johnson, myself, and Sam Bush, probably When the Storm Is Over.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
Actually, all those records are really good. Commonwealth is a great record. Fly Through the Country, which is the first one I ever did with the band. All those records are great, actually.
Fly Through the Country was the first one of you guys' albums that I had.
Yeah, that's the first one they made with me. And that's got great stuff on it.
But everything that you guys cut, I mean, I just love because they were all different to me. And Fly Through the Country, a funny thing that you'll appreciate is when I played with J.D. Crowe, we were down at Jim McGuire's having pictures taken, and he had that old truck. I guess that was his truck, right?
It was an old Woody.
Yep. And he says, if you want to see this thing in action, go look at the Newgrass Revival album. And I I got a hold of one of those and bought it, and it was kind of funny. I had Jim to sign it because I wasn't around you guys, but that was a great album. And On the Boulevard, that's another awesome album. And you mentioned Courtney. Now I've been talking to, or not Courtney, Curtis Birch.
Yes, sir.
I've been talking to Curtis quite a bit lately. And,
good.
I'm doing this Dobro record, and he's going to be on it. But we're having to use a track from some time back because he can't pick anymore. He's got.
I know.
He's wearing gloves, and I feel really bad for him because he was an innovator on the Dobro. He was
absolutely.
He was playing different stuff that a lot of guys, now are playing, and they don't realize where they got those licks, and a lot of that stuff's Curtis, but I was a big fan of all the versions of the band, but the last one was my favorite, and I was so happy seeing you guys going to the Hall of Fame this past year, and glad they inducted both bands, which was really cool.
Yeah, me too.
Did you ever think you guys would be going in the IBMA?
No, never.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. I was sitting cheering you on, and didn't Garth inducted you guys, didn't he?
He did.
See, that's awesome. That was a good night, man. I mean, even though we were all in with the COVID and the awards were virtual, it was really cool. How did you guys do that? Did you just send in? Did you all send in stuff?
No, we all went to the Ryman.
Okay.
And they just recorded. They recorded it ahead of time.
Okay.
That way they could edit the whole thing together. So
okay, good.
I think they were at the Ryman for maybe 2 or 3 days, just recording everybody, video recording everybody, and then they went to an editing base somewhere and put it all together and made a show out of it. But yeah, we were our whole thing was done, at the same time with Garth and also with Johnson Mountain Boys, and so yeah.
Garth is a pretty cool guy, I imagine, is he?
He's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
And he's one of, I'm not sure there's any bigger people on the planet, star-wise, maybe.
Yeah, no.
Those things kind of change over the years.
Sure.
His candles continue to burn bright. So, and he's just, it's nice that someone like that has been so kind and supportive of us, and he never forgets to mention us. And it's just plus he recorded one of our songs, so that's a pretty good deal.
Sure, you get
two of our songs.
Which for people that listening, what were the two songs?
Well, Calling Baton Rouge, which we didn't write, but we kind of consider it to be our song, and a lot of people. And then one of Pat Flynn's songs called "Do What You Got to Do."
Oh yeah, and did Pat write that one?
He did.
Wow, that's good. Garth Brooks had cut that, you know.
Yeah. That'll put your kids through school.
Yeah, that'll put you through that and college and on through to retirement, as long as those sound exchange checks and writers royalties keep coming. That's great. You know, it's. I look at some people out there that's doing things, and it never looks like it's a problem. Sometimes when people help you along, just to throw them a bone every now and then to help them. And I know Chris Stapleton's done that, and you guys and Allison's done that, and it's really good for everybody, I think. And you know, it never hurts to do that. But me, see what else I got for you, John.
What else you got for me?
I made some little notes here, things I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Let's see. We've already talked about all the albums and stuff. Let's see. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about when you came in and you did my album.
Yes, I did.
And it was funny. I've got a funny story on that. You came in, and everything you cut was just killer. I thought really good. And anyway, there was the ending on that song. I mean, it was a long note, and we measured it out on the record. It's 15 seconds that you held a note. That's a long time. But the way that come about, that was real funny. You may remember this, but we were in there, you know, listening to things and piecing stuff together, and we were in the control room, and we knew we were running, you know, you had to be out of there at a certain time. And I hope you remember this, but you had to be out. And anyway, we're getting out, and I said, I don't think we'll be able to get finished today with this. And all of a sudden, we got down to that last note, that last phrase, the note. And I remember telling the engineer, I said, wow, this is going to be the hardest part. And you asked what time it was. And I think it was something like 15 minutes to 3. And you said, oh, blank, I got to be out of here at 3. And they rolled it, and you hit it first time and packed your bass up and left at 3 o'clock. And we all sit there and looked at each other. And I remember Steve Thomas, that was engineer, and he said, man, I've just seen the craziest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. He said that right there was incredible. And it was funny because we didn't even have to tune it. It was right, boom, right there. But every time I see Steve, we'll kind of laugh sometimes. I'll say, man, 15 seconds on that ending. And he said, yeah, man, John Cowan. But I was real honored to have you come in and sing on that.
I'd do anything for you, Phil Ledbetter.
Well, John, that means a lot, and you were so good to me when I was sick and stuff. When I first found out I was sick, and you come and played a benefit and did some other things that was, you know, you're like me, probably things you want to just keep to yourself, but you were very charitable with me and my family, and I appreciate that so much.
Well, you're very welcome.
And you know, and I'd do anything in the world for you too, buddy. Same way.
I know that you would.
I mean, you probably wouldn't want me to, but I'd still get up there. I'd still try, you know. Still try with it. Now, John, let's talk about something a little different here. All right. Let's switch gears here, and let's talk about the Doobie Brothers. That's your gig right now, isn't it?
Yep. Last 11. Well, because now we've had a year off, so it's kind of hard to count. Mm-hmm. But I think this spring I'm up to 12 years.
Wow. You think they're going to hire you?
I don't know. I'm hoping so.
Man,
And I also did it for about almost 3 years in the early '90s.
I
So
didn't know that part. Didn't know that.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
you fit them so good. I've not got to see you guys in person, but I've watched a lot of the videos on YouTube the last few days with you, and man, you guys just look like a happy family up there. I mean, everything just looks like everybody's having a great time, and that's
Well,
good.
I mean, I was a fan anyway, so
Hmm.
because I can remember, you know,
Hits, big hits.
well, I just remember I bought Toulouse Street, which is their second album. It's the
Hmm.
album that had uh, listening to music on it,
Hmm.
and then I started playing music when I was 14. So
Hmm.
I think that record came out when I was 19.
Wow.
Um, but I just bought it as a fan.
Hmm.
I heard that song and I thought, God, who is this? And so I went and bought the record, and then I bought all the records, even all the time. We all liked them when we were in. I remember riding around all over the country in Newgrass, and we'd listen to Doobie Brothers records. That's
Did you ever imagine you'd have that gig?
no, that's happened to me a bunch of times in my life.
Hmm.
I mean, the only real job I ever had was in a boat trailer factory for a
Hmm.
year when I was 18.
Wow.
And the whole time I worked on the assembly line, so you kind of had to keep yourself busy doing the same thing over, 8 hours a day.
Hmm.
And I'd sing Leon Russell songs and stuff like that, and then 6 or 7 years after that, I'm on stage with the guy.
It's
I'm in his
incredible.
band.
Incredible. You know.
If you would have told me that when I'm standing there sweating in the boat trailer factory, I said, "You're out of your mind."
Ain't it? It's funny how things go sometimes. I mean, uh, you the first time I heard you, it was just like, wow, this guy was born to do this, and I think people like you and a few others, you work these jobs just like a lot of people that go down to Nashville, and you work these jobs and you work and sweat because that's not really what you want to do or where you want to be, but you have to do that for the moment to get to where you want to be. And I think that's what everybody does. I mean, you go to Nashville and so many people that are big stars now, and you find out that they were working in McDonald's or something, and people say,
Yeah,
"Well, I wish I had went to McDonald's." Well, they didn't mean nothing to you then because they weren't on CMT and GAC and all that stuff. And
yeah.
but you, man, that's I mean, you're right where you need to be playing with the Doobies, and I want to come and see you guys when you get when this
Well,
COVID's over.
we're supposed to go back to work in July. We'll see. If not July, I think by fall we'll be
Hmm.
back on the road. And this tour is really special. It's 50th anniversary, and
Wow.
Michael McDonald will be with us, so it'll
Oh
be really
man,
great.
that's one of my favorites too, right there. So
Oh my God, he's amazing.
yeah, and he I guess he lives in Nashville now, doesn't he? Or right south of
Well,
Nashville.
he did for a very long time,
Hmm.
and then he moved. He's living out west again.
Okay.
I think he still has a home out in the Franklin area.
Hmm.
But he did live here for a long
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
probably 15 years, 20, maybe 20.
Oh, you live in Nashville still, right?
I actually live in Columbia, which is
Oh yeah.
not quite an hour south, headed towards Alabama.
I know where that's at. That's where a lot of my money goes because my insurance company's out of Columbia, Tennessee.
Oh,
So Farm Bureau send them a lot of
yep.
John Cowan money out there. Hey John, we got some people writing in. I want to see. Sometimes they want
let's
to
see.
ask you a question.
Let's see what they got to say.
Yeah, they will. Let's see. Now, let me see. Okay. I'm just going to go down. A guy named Mark Eaton wrote, now where I live in Sonoma County wine country, I'm not far from Doobie Brothers manager Bruce Cohn, and he's a winery, and you've probably been there a few times. So
yeah, he used to have music festival out there every fall.
Oh,
did he have a specific question?
No, he just wrote. I thought it was a question. Let's see. I'm there's some comments here.
Well, I just hope Marcus fared well through all the fires out there. It was really terrible.
Yeah, they've been bad. California always gets mashed with something, don't they? I mean, whether it's landslides of stuff or the fires, just amazing. But I love California. I probably wouldn't live out there, but I love going out there.
I do too.
Great place to be. My name's Zeke Buttons. He's a DJ in Kentucky. Wrote John Cowan, one of the best singers in bluegrass. Don't believe me? Ask Sam Bush. Well, it's true. Let's go on down here. I hope Sam's not tuned in tonight. Got named Mark McCoy, Newgrass Revival. The reason I love and play bluegrass, I couldn't shake it. Went and bought a banjo in a pawn shop at the age of 20. See what you guys started?
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, and somebody corrected us. It's the Down Yonder Saloon in Maryville. That's what it was.
That's right. You're right. It was the Down Yonder.
Yeah. Greg Combs said John Cowan's the best. And my cousin is on there said, hey, cuz, that's for me, I guess, because he has a band called the Kingdom Heirs at Dollywood, a really great gospel band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they tour. They're really good. Let's see. All right, Jerry Vincent Parker said, when did the song The Kid come along, before, during, or after Newgrass Revival?
The Kid, the one that Tim Stafford wrote that I recorded, is that? I think that's what he's talking about.
I believe that's it.
After we broke up in 1990, so that I think The Kid came out about 8 or 10 years ago. So maybe even more now.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's an answer.
I just talked to Tim on the phone the other day.
Hey, I did too. He was on my show.
I know. He told me.
He was on.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a good dude, man. I like Tim.
Yes, thanks.
And we both have been dealing with the same deal on our buddy Steve Gully that passed away. And
I know.
You know, it's been a hard road. I mean, I've had second thoughts about whether to go back and play. But I've got to do that, you know. I've just got to find it's going to be a different life, you know, because we travel together and stuff too much. So things change, and you have to do what you have to do. So anyway, yeah.
Now, did you ever meet Steve's cousin, J.K. Gully from Canada?
I did. I did one time. Now, didn't they do Gully Fest up there too?
Yeah. But John, his cousin John, who some people know as J.K., I've recorded a bunch of his songs. He's an amazing amazing fingerstyle guitarist and really great songwriter.
Wow. I met him, but I didn't know that you had recorded his tunes. I'll have to be. I recorded one of his called "In My Father's Field," and people just love that song. I love it too. I've heard that, and that was one of his tunes.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I've heard that. I love that tune. You know, tunes you forget about them, just like sitting here talking, and you'll mention that, and it's like, yeah, I got to go on YouTube when we get done. I forgot about that, but yeah, man, I met him one time, and me and Steve, we picked around a lot together, and Steve got his band together, and they went and played the festival up there. So I didn't get to meet him then, but you know, I met him somewhere else where we played. I think somewhere up in, I think we played in Michigan somewhere, and he came to a show.
That makes sense.
Sounds about right. But I'm gonna read a few more and see what we got. Some comments and questions. Randy Jones says Garth can't touch John on vocals on that song. I agree with that. And Barney Rogers, Barney tunes in every week. He writes a lot of good music. And it's a great show. Glad Newgrass Revival got in the IBMA Hall of Fame. Saw them many times over the years.
Oh.
And Mark Eaton again says, thanks, John. We're hoping we get a break from the fires this year. It's getting real old.
I bet.
Yeah. So there's too many. Let me skip on down through some questions. Because some of them I just need to skip through. A friend of mine, Trippy Tino, he's a great musician. Trippy plays horns, and I mentioned earlier that he was out in Hollywood. He played a lot of stuff for TV shows and things like that, soundtracks. Really good.
Wow.
And he just asked, are the Doobies based in the Bay Area?
Well, sort of. They started in San Jose. Now, Tom Johnson, who's one of the original guys, and he's the guy that has sung most of their hits. He still lives in the Bay Area, and our saxophone player, Mark Russo, he lives in the Bay Area. But the rest of us are all split up. Pat Simmons lives in Hawaii.
Wow.
Bill Payne, a keyboard player who used to be in Little Feat for most of his life, he lives in Montana. So,
Jeez.
you know, the drummer and I both live here in the Nashville area, and John McPhee, the multi-instrumentalist of the band, he lives around Santa Barbara area.
Okay, wow. Man, you guys are split up.
Yeah, we are.
Now, the guy that lives in Hawaii, how does he file his income tax for mileage? I mean, it's kind of hard.
I don't know. I bet he hasn't paid for a plane ticket in about 30 years.
Oh yeah, sure. No, that's
getting
awesome.
all those miles.
Getting his miles, yep, definitely. And let's see, a guy named Greg Cohen said, John, will you be doing anything with the John Cowan band in the future, or just sticking with the Doobies?
No, I always try to do stuff. I'm actually working on a record, getting ready to make a record here in first week of April with my dear friend Andre Zahn, who's an amazing fiddler and singer who's spent the last 18 years with James Taylor. Right. And so we're making a duet record.
Man, that's awesome. Well,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, because both you guys, man, I can't imagine the vocals on that. They'll be killer, without a doubt. Let me see. Beth Bingham Light says, hey, John, good to hear your voice, my friend. And Donna Jo.
Wait, I got to respond to Beth and Ben. They're some of my favorite people. Some of our good friends from the Knoxville area.
Oh, yeah.
We love you all. Love you, Ben. Love you, Beth.
Knoxville loves you guys, and I'm sure Beth heard that. She's online. And let's see, Donna Jo Hobbs Golden, like I said, you probably know half these people, said, please ask John whatever happened to the Newgrass Revival SWAT band. Last time I spoke to him, to Richard Battaglia, it was in his backyard. Long live shag carpet.
It's actually in Pensacola, Florida, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it still being driven, or is it like
No, I don't think so. I think it's collecting barnacles and stuff down there.
I've got a friend. It's funny, on Facebook today. About 5 miles from where I live, there's a car lot, and they've had a Ford Pinto up on this post.
Oh man!
20 years, probably 20 feet in the air. About 20 years, maybe 30. And so they're widening the highway, and I saw where they're taking it down. And I always wondered, wow, I wonder whose car that was. And wound up, it was one of my good buddies that was his car, and they took it down today. It's been in the air forever up there on a post. So
when I was a senior in high school, my sister was a freshman in college. Our parents finally broke down and bought a car for us, and they bought a Ford Pinto. Now, if you know anything about a Ford Pinto, it's got about 16 horsepower.
At the most.
It was a perfect car for a bunch of smart-ass kids. You couldn't get hardly any trouble in it.
No. I'd love to have one of those now,
Yeah.
They're worth some money. My buddy, when he graduated high school in 1980, I remember his grandma had a lot of money, and she bought him a Ford Pinto. and it bogged down on the football field. He was supposed to drive away. It wouldn't go anywhere. It kind of just broke down, and it was a new one. So
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the, when I was in high school was the glory years of Detroit, and muscle cars. I still love muscle cars. I've never owned one. It's like I actually know quite a bit about them.
Oh yeah. My first car, I had a '66 Chevy 2 Super Sport.
No, you did not.
I ain't lying to you. Don't call me a liar. I'll come over there and we'll straighten it out.
You didn't drag race Jeff Autry, did you?
No, this one had a 6-cylinder in it, but it looked real bad from the outside. And I'd pull up the red lights when I was young, and these nice Camaros would come up there, and they would be heading down on it, stomping it down. And I had no horsepower. It had a 230 horsepower in it, 230 engine. Well, yeah, but it looked good from the outside. It looked like it was fast, and people would pull up, and I'd sit over there like, I don't have time for you, and they'd be burning out. And I don't even think that thing would spin its wheels on ice, but it was a nice car. And but now my brother, he collects all those. He's got a bunch of different Corvettes from the '60s and all that stuff. And
my dream car is a split top '63 Corvette.
Oh man,
Chevrolet Corvette.
Those are killer. I love those. I loved all the Corvettes in that era, and I just never. Well, starts out never owned one. I did own one for a little bit, but
I don't think I've ever even driven one. I don't think so. Maybe.
Hey,
anyway,
you need to come to town, and I know my brother will let you go for a drive. And he's got a 60. I think it's a 66 convertible with a 427 4-speed in it, and then he's got another one. I don't know what year it is. It's a 70, I think.